Hi everyone, it's Stacy with Real Life Psychology and Life Coaching, and today we are going to talk about the consequences of picking and choosing your battles. So, we all have decisions that we make about picking and choosing battles, and then we have repercussions for them. So, we're going to talk about 6 areas of unintended consequences that affect our lives when we pick and choose our battles. You ready to have a seat on the couch? All right, let's do it. I'm beautiful, yeah. When I'm with you, no question that this girl's too beautiful. All right. So here's the thing with picking and choosing our battles. We leave things on the table. If we allow some people to disrespect us at certain times and not others, then it's a constant battle between deciding and what our choices are and who we decide to allow things to happen and not. And ultimately what we need to do is we need to face every battle. I know people always use that saying, I pick and choose my battles, but really when you pick and choose your battles, you are leaving things out there for unintended purposes. So like, if you let this person do something to you all the time and you don't let this person do it, this person knows how to act, but this one doesn't. So you're constantly battling with this person instead of just being the you that you are and telling everybody the same thing. Then you allow those battles that you're picking and choosing to be laid to rest. Instead of picking and choosing, focus on them all. They're all battles. They're all going to end up elevating eventually if you don't handle them. It could be something as small as, someone giving you an inappropriate greeting. Let's just say every time you see this person, they like slap you on the face and pat you on the head and do it. And you don't let anybody else do it, but for them, because they've done it for so long, you allow it. And instead of just saying, hey, I don't like that, don't do that when you see me, and they don't do it, eventually it's going to get to a point where they're going to catch you on the wrong day. They're going to do it and you're going to be frustrated and they're going to be clueless because you did not address that. And that's a very simple thing, but there are so many battles that we pick and choose that really affect us. Another reason that we really have to address everything instead of just picking and choosing battles is because eventually small things can lead up to big things. One of the biggest things that people who pick and choose their battles do is they constantly are putting it to the side, not realizing that that is actually causing them harm because they think about it a lot. They may not say anything to other people, but it affects them. They may lose their appetite, or they may have stomach problems, or they may, we're going to go into that. But when you are picking and choosing battles, you're not necessarily always picking and choosing the ones that need to be addressed. So if you don't address those issues, a lot of times they fester, they grow, and it becomes a bigger deal instead of you just cutting it off as soon as it happens. So for example, let's just say that I work in an office where, there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of different people. And someone to me seems rude. If I don't address that person for being rude, they could be rude a lot and it's going to keep bothering me until I say something, or I'm like, I'm going to pick and choose my battles today. That's not important. But it bothered me enough to even think about it. It bothered me enough to say, this is a battle. Once you put that in your mind, it needs to be addressed. It could be very simple, but it could be, something that's higher up. It could be something to where you live with someone and you don't like the way they do things and every little thing frustrates you. So now mentally and emotionally you're drained all the time instead of just telling them how you feel. And it's very easy to do if you really sit down and think about it and approach people properly. All right, so we have 6 areas of unintended consequences. One of the first is the physical consequences. You have stomach issues, you have tension headaches, you have migraines. A lot of people get tight jaw, you get digestive problems, you have autoimmune issues. You can even have shoulder tensions and stuff. So when you really don't take the time to focus on the issues or the battles that you're facing, your body starts to reflect in that. You're holding it in and it's not good to do. Okay, so the second one is the emotional effects. You can feel bitterness, envy, jealousy, judgment. You can have outbursts and you can have misused words. And these are all signs of people not handling their battles. And not every battle is going to be small. Some of them are going to be big and you have to sit down and deal with those battles. But when you don't, these are the things that are emotionally affecting you every single day. And that can cause cancer, that can cause other illnesses. So you really have to learn that picking and choosing battles is not always what people need to be saying. They really need to be fighting those battles and clearing them out of their path and making way for success, for hopefulness, and their future. All right, so number 3 is going to be mental mayhem. And everybody has gone through this when you're focused on things and you're not really able to focus because you have so many other things going on. You can replay conversations in your head. Like, I should have said this to her and I should have did this. And this person, when they said this, I should have slapped them. Or you're really physically like sitting there replaying these in your head over and over again. And it's time consuming and you can't focus on anything else. Then you have poor concentration, obviously, because you're not concentrating on anything else. You're concentrating on those issues. Then there's a loss of creativity. There's spiraling out of control. There's perspectives and thoughts that are off gauge from what you normally do. You're dishonoring your own self by like really just focusing on that situation. You can have internal arguments with yourself. Like, why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? And then just really mentally going overboard with yourself where this is something you're craving and thinking about all the time. Instead of being healthy and humble and enjoying your day and enjoying your life, you're focusing on these situations that you dealt with and that you were involved in instead of dealing with. Okay. So number 4 is relational results, because obviously this is going to affect some people, right? So you're going to have mistrust. You're going to have avoidance with people. You're going to have disconnection because you may feel some way and they may not. So you may be like, I don't know if I want to be around them. And they may feel nothing because it's not affecting them as much, but you feel some way. Then you can start ignoring other issues that come into play because you're so focused on this. Then you're really trying to figure out if people are being honest. So you deal with the dishonesty. Then there's always that big elephant in the room, right? Where it's like, I want to say something, but I don't know if they want to say something. And then people start feeling uncomfortable around each other. And it's really just a big blow up for something that could have been, you could have had a conversation about. And then there's also breaking boundaries, because once you set boundaries, which are for you, right? If people are breaking those boundaries, then you have to start evaluating that relationship, that friendship, that goal that you set for yourself. Are these people supposed to be in my life? Are they not? There's a whole relationship situation when it comes to not taking care of the battles that you are choosing to pick. Okay. So number 5 is actually spiritual signs. You start to be disconnected from God. You can have a hardened heart. Like you feel like, you were treated a certain way and now you don't want to deal with this and that anymore. You can have misaligned values where, okay, now instead of me being the nice person I've always been, now I'm going to be like this because these people took advantage of me and blah, blah, blah. Instead of picking and choosing battles, actually just addressing everyone so that there are no unforeseen misaligned values. And then also, like, you're unmotivated because a lot of the time you're spent on dealing with issues in the past and issues that could have been addressed so you could move on. Now you're spending all this time on them. And then there's a lack of courage because obviously if you're not fighting that battle, it's for a reason, right? You either don't want to hurt this person. You don't want to make them feel like they're not valued. You don't want to make yourself feel like you're not valued. You don't want to put a crack in a relationship that you feel is valuable, but there's already a crack there because you feel some type of way. So you have to make sure that everything is addressed. Because people can't read your mind, right? They don't know how you're feeling. They don't know that something affected you the way that it did to where you're going through these issues, where you're constantly thinking about this. Okay, so the last one is renewal repercussions, which is basically chronic stress, lack of passion or joy, inability to rest, difficulty disconnecting, and then like being away from the person or the issue. And it's hard because have you ever been around someone who is always happy, always outgoing, and then one little thing happens and life as you know it, it's over because they didn't deal with that situation. They dwell on it for months and sometimes even years, and they keep telling you it's no big deal, but they're constantly talking about it. It's because that is something, a battle that they should have addressed and they need to address, because you can't go around with chronic stress. You can't go around with a lack of your own personality and joy because you're focused on an issue that could have been addressed with a simple conversation. And sometimes it's not a simple conversation. Sometimes it takes a lot more, but it's a battle that needs to be addressed. One of the things I always say is meditate on it, pray on it, sit in quiet, ask yourself, what is it that you really want to see in this situation happening? Because you're the only person who can obtain your choices, right? We can't make anybody do anything else. So we have to understand that not everybody's always going to be ready for those tough conversations. But for you to sit down and say, hey, this bothers me, this, that, it allows you to get it off your chest and it allows you to move forward. So if there is any battle or situation or relationship or anything going on with you right now where you are not able to sleep, or you're going through these physical issues or emotional issues or the mental mayhem or, the relational issues or spiritual sign issues or just the renewal repercussions, sit down and really think about what you want to do to resolve them. Me personally, I made a list of people that I wanted to reach out to, and I reached out to them, and some responded and some didn't. I wasn't mad at the ones who didn't, because just because I'm ready doesn't mean that they're ready. But I wrote down different people, I contacted them, and we had conversations. And to be honest with you, it was a relief. I felt so good the next day, just being able to just feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. No more negativity, no more drama, no more feeling awkward around people, just genuinely being able to be myself. And it helped. It didn't gauge everything or make everything perfect, but just getting it clear on my side allowed me to just open up and be a better person. So I hope that this helps you in some way. And I really hope that, you think about these things when you are listening to people say pick and choose your battles, because every battle needs to be addressed. All right. You have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.